Welcome, welcome. We are back like we never left. Hell to the Culture, a Washington Commanders podcast. You may remember us from back in the day. We covered the then Redskins, Washington football team. Now, me, your boy, Young Rome 22, and my guy, Bryce, we're back to talk everything Commanders. We're going to dive right into the offseason moves, free agency. Is Sam Howell to answer? A lot to get into. So, Bryce, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, my guy, man, we are back. We are back. And like you said, it was a Washington Redskins podcast just a couple years ago. We took a little break. So we calling this season two. Season two, episode one. Thank y'all for rocking with us, man. I'm excited to get into it, man. And as always, there's never a dull moment in Commanders land.
Never, 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 man. So let's get right to it, man. Sam Howell. Sam Howell, he started the last game of the season, beat the Dallas Cowboys. There's a lot that we could talk about last season, but I really want to focus in on Sam Howell and the future. Is Sam Howell the future? I mean, fifth round pick. I think we both know that the dude has a nice arm. Didn't get to play much last year. Is there reasoning behind that? And do you think that he could really lead this team to the potential? Because the roster is it's pretty nice. This is a playoff team, in my opinion. We're just missing a quarterback. So, do you think Sam Howell is that quarterback that could lead the Commanders to the playoffs?
Hey, bro, you know I'm on the draft every year, and I was extremely high on Howell coming out. I didn't have him as a first round grade, but I did have him in that second to third round range, and part of that was because how packed that draft was. Right, if you guys remember, that was the COVID year. That was the first COVID year, right? And well, the first year that all the COVID players had an extra year, right? So Sam came out with a lot of players who would have came out a year before him. So that was a very, very deep draft. And I think that pushed Sam down the board a little bit. Reason he fell to the fifth round. Do I think he's the answer? I think he can be if this is cultivated correctly, right? When you got a young quarterback, you have to handle them with kid gloves, for lack of a better term. And if this regime's able to do that, it's going to be their saving grace and sticking around. And your final question was why wasn't he, why didn't he get the job sooner? That's just ineptitude of Ron Rivera and company, right? We've seen it over and over again, man. We got a reactionary coaching staff, a reactionary regime. I don't dislike them. I like Ron a lot, right? But when news comes out that Taylor Heineke had to be the one to tell Ron to give Sam the start, and then now in the offseason, they're saying Sam Howell's just going to be their starter when they didn't even want to start him in the last game, it's very, very Ron Rivera-esque because you know what he does, man. He looks around and he reacts. They never have a foolproof plan. I think that's what bothers me the most with this regime. And I hope when it comes to Sam, they do have a plan in place. But let's hope that with Eric Bieniemy coming in, that that plan's already being put together.
I'm glad you mentioned my guy Taylor Heineke, DC sports legend, in my opinion. We could have him on another topic for another pod. But the thing with Sam Howell, and the reason that I don't know if he is going to be the future of the Commanders, and I don't have too much faith in this moment, is because of what you just alluded to with Ron and all them kind of being reactionary. We're going to talk about free agency in a second, but they did sign Jacoby Brissett, and I think both me and you would agree, even with the love that I have for Taylor Heineke, that Jacoby Brissett is a much better quarterback. So if Sam Howell had a hard time beating out Carson Wentz or Taylor Heineke, is he really going to keep Jacoby Brissett on the bench? If Sam Howell struggles and Jacoby Brissett gets in, does Sam Howell get another chance? Like that, there's a lot of questions that will be answered later on in the summer months. But the signing of Jacoby Brissett to me had me less in on Sam Howell than I was before they signed Jacoby Brissett. I'm interested to know if the Jacoby Brissett signing changed anything for you.
That's a really good point you make, Rome, because I would say that Jacoby Brissett is the best quarterback we've had in over five years, I guess, dating back to. I mean, it's sad to put it like that, but I truly do believe it. I think Jacoby Brissett played at around the 14th best quarterback, 15th best quarterback level last season. I mean, the dude was playing very, very good, according to all metrics, including PFF, before Deshaun Watson got back. And maybe that's all we really need a quarterback is a guy that won't turn the ball over, will make the easy plays, and will keep the chains moving. Can pick up. I love him because he can pick up short yardage conversions on fourth and short, third and short. I love that from a quarterback sneak. I really love that. I hope it's a true competition, bro, because I really do believe that Jacoby Brissett is a solid NFL quarterback. And if it's a true competition and Sam Howell beats out Jacoby Brissett, that is the perfect situation, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like that means that Sam Howell is legit, bro, because you just beat
Yeah.
out a legit quarterback. I hope it's just not one of those fake quarterback competitions, but I doubt Jacoby would have even signed under those pretenses, right? They must have guaranteed him it's going to be a real competition. So I think whoever wins this true competition, we're in a good spot with that because we already know Jacoby's solid, and we know if Sam can beat someone solid, then he's more than ready to be the starter.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. And I would even say that Ron, a big part of it is I don't think Ron is 100% sold on Sam. You mentioned it. Taylor had to be the one to, get Sam the full start. I think they wanted to do Taylor half, Sam the other half. So I don't know how much Ron and the offensive staff believed in Sam Howell. That might have had to do with Scott Turner. We do have Eric Bieniemy now. So I wonder if that'll make any type of difference. Bieniemy's a lot more creative, I think, than Scott Turner was, and much more of a hard coach, like a coach that can really connect with the players. I don't know if Scott Turner really did that in the way that Bieniemy will. So
Bro,
before we talk about free
hold on,
agency,
real quick, bro. I got to jump in right there, bro, because you're making me realize something, man. Is this not Ron's biggest problem, bro? Ron Rivera's biggest problem is he sticks with shit way too long, bro. Like, yo, fans of the team we will be watching the games and we'll be clearly seeing something, and it'll take them 3 or 4 more games than it took us to realize it. For example, bro, how long did it take for me and you, Rome, to know that Derek Force should have been a starter over Bobby
oh
McCain? We knew
yeah,
that shit instantly. We knew that in training. We knew that literally in training camp. We both looked at him and was like, yeah, that Force boy, he ready. But what did they do, bro, for the first 4 or 5 games, bro? They kept marching out Bobby McCain, kept marching him out, kept marching him out when it was clear to everybody who the pairing should have been. You know what I'm saying? And like I can think of endless examples with that. I mean, endless examples. And it really starts to bother me. I mean, like it's the same thing with Sam Howell. You know what I mean? They couldn't see that when everyone else in the fan base could. You feel me? Like it's becoming a theme, and it even became a thing with coaches, right? And we're gonna get to the EB, yeah, but even with Scott Turner, we stuck with the Scott Turner, stuck with the Scott Turner, stuck with
yeah.
it for too long, and now it blows up in our face, and we got, you know what I'm saying? It's like it's a recurring theme with Ron Rivera. I need this dude to get a little more ahead of the curve, man. A little more ahead of the curve, Ron. That's all we need, bro. I like you, Ron. Just get ahead of the curve.
Well, it'll be very interesting because I think he gave a lot of power to Bieniemy, which will, I think the offense from the offensive side, it'll be about what Bieniemy's planning, what Bieniemy's feeling. So I think he'll be really the ultimate factor in who's the starting quarterback. Like if it's a close QB competition, I think the QB that Eric Bieniemy likes more or feels can run his style of offense better will be the guy that he ends up going with. Personally, I think Sam Howell kind of fits what Bieniemy would like to do. So I if the original question was is Sam Howell the future of the Commanders, I'm non-committal right now. I like Jacoby Brissett a lot. I liked what he did on the Colts. I liked what he did on the Browns. Personally, I think that man hasn't really been given a super fair shake to be a starter in this league. So don't be surprised if there's 17 games in the season. Jacoby Brissett might start 3 or 4 of these games for the Commanders.
Yeah, good point. A good point. I wouldn't be surprised to see that. And honestly, if you're a better, odds are on Jacoby Brissett starting games this season, right? How think about the last 5 seasons we've had and how many different starting quarterbacks have started each one of those seasons, bro. A minimum of three. A
Yeah,
minimum of three for the last 5 straight seasons. Jacoby Brissett going to start some games, people.
yeah.
Even to the ones that love Sam Howell, right? If you are a better and you are an odds maker, if you were an odds maker, your odds are on Jacoby Brissett over one game started, no question. So like, just get ready. Just get ready.
Yeah, let's go ahead and jump into this Eric Bieniemy though, because that was probably the biggest free agent splash that the Commanders have made. They haven't done too many, big signings. We did re-sign Deron Payne. Me and you are both big on him. We've talked about Payne a lot on the old podcast, and I would say that Payne is a much better player now than he was then. So I'm glad they re-signed him. But to me, the biggest splash was definitely Eric Bieniemy. What are your thoughts? What were your initial thoughts on Bieniemy? Because it was a rumor for a long time. I believe we didn't even think it was really going to happen, and then when it did, it was a bit of a surprise. So, what are your thoughts on Bieniemy, him coming to Washington, and what do you think he's going to bring to the table?
Well, first off, man, you're right, Rome. It was a rumor for a long time, and it actually happened. And how many of these rumors were rumors for a long time and never happened? Y'all know what I'm talking about. Remember when Stephon Diggs was supposed to come to the Commanders? Remember
Yeah,
that one? That was a
I'll never
rumor for a
forget.
long time that never happened. Remember when we were? I ain't even gonna get it. I ain't even gonna go down that rabbit hole, man. All I'm saying is this one actually happened, and it made me feel good for a split second. I mean, we got the offensive coordinator from the NFL champs, a guy that's been in conference championship games, been in 2 Super Bowls. Like this is what you want. I'm sorry, I've been in 3 Super Bowls. This is what you want out of an offensive coordinator. I'm not going to worry about why he didn't get his shot before he got his shot, right? Because like I feel like that's what the media keeps trying to shift it to. And we played that game for a few weeks, but I'm not in on that no more. Now I'm just trying to worry about how our personnel is going to fit with EB. And to your question, man, I think they hit this one out the park, bro. And I think that if this doesn't work out, it'll be more telling on the Commanders than it is on Eric Bieniemy.
Yeah, nah, yeah, I agree with you, and that's something that I didn't want to think too hard about. If it doesn't work out, I do believe that that's more indicative of the Commanders organization than it is Eric Bieniemy, the coach. But I think everything, all the ducks seem to be in a row. I mean, even if it goes kind of poorly, he's already got the assistant head coach title, so he can naturally transition to the head coach. So I mean, I think Eric Bieniemy will get his shot with the Commanders. And I mean, the best case scenario is that we just got one of the best coaches in football who will, become the head coach and lead us to the promised land. So I think this was a definite win. There's not really too much negative that you could pull from this right now. And like you said, like rumors and big names like this normally don't happen or work out for the Commanders. So I was very excited that this happened. Um, and yeah, I mean, there's no we're used to the big splashy names like player wise, and we haven't really seen that in free agency outside of Jacoby Brissett. Will any of these moves stand out to you?
Man, outside of Jacoby, I can't say any of the moves really stood out. I mean, well, let's just run through them real quick. You did mention the Deron Payne re-signing. To me, that's an A plus. Deron Payne proved last season that he's a top five, well, top 10, whatever you want, top 5 to 10 defensive tackle. Some people might put him in that 10 if you're not watching the Commanders closely, but if you watched us closely last year, you know Deron Payne was a game record. And as good as Jonathan Allen has been the last 2 seasons, I thought Deron Payne outplayed him last year personally. I thought Deron was the better player from pole to pole, from start to finish. He was the better player to me. It was close, don't get me wrong, but and I think PFF might show something different. But Deron was a game record last year, and you got to reward those guys. And what that does for your team when you're constantly rewarding your standout players, it makes everybody else work harder. Because I mean, Deron Payne at the same position as someone that just got paid. He wasn't supposed to get paid. Like we heard everything in the offseason. We were supposed to let Deron Payne walk, right? Remember when we drafted Fidarian
Yeah.
Mathis, and that was the Deron Payne
Yep.
replacement? Not so fast. The boy balled out and got his contract. That's setting a standard. That's how you really create a culture. So that one was an A plus in my opinion.
Yeah, that was definitely an A plus home run. All that. There's a couple other signings I want to get your opinion on. They did try to shore up some offensive line depth. They signed Trent Scott and the guy from the Chiefs. I want to get his name right, Andrew Wiley. What do you think about that? Because the offensive line was probably the weakest part of the entire team last year, and we both know football. We both know you can't really do much without an offensive line. So do you think they did enough to shore it up, or do you think that they should address it in the draft as well?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. Don't forget about Nick Gates either, the guy that we got from the Giants. I think he might be my favorite out of all 3 acquisitions. He plays with that little nasty streak, and after we lost Chase Roulier last year, the center position really held the offensive line back. We got Tyler Larson in there. When he came in, he did stabilize things for a minute, but then he went down with an injury like 2 games later. So um, Nick Gates can play center and guard, so I like that pickup. And like I said, he got that mean streak that I like for my interior O lineman. Um, Wiley, I like Wiley, bro. I like Wiley one because he fits Ron's position flex goal that Ron has for every single player. Like Ron wants his quarterback to be able to play wide receiver too. You know what I'm saying? He wants every
Yeah.
player to have multiple positions. So Wiley can do that. Wiley can play right tackle. He can also kick on the inside. But now Wiley acquisition makes some question marks, right? Because what we gonna do with Cosme, bro? When they drafted Cosme out of Texas high in that second round a few years ago, I mean, they was billing him as our right tackle of the future, possibly left. They thought he might be able to play left, but that didn't work, and they threw him at right, and he was looking solid for his rookie year. But it seemed like he regressed a little bit at right tackle last year. So I don't know where that slots Cosme. I don't know if they're going to try to kick him in the guard permanently and keep Wiley on the at the right tackle spot. But I do like the Wiley pickup. The Scott pickup, Trent Scott, I don't have a large file on that, man. You know what I'm saying? I hope he's solid depth. I know he's been around the league, a couple different teams. Hopefully, he's able to catch on. I think he went to Bethune-Cookman, so shout out to the HBCUs. But I do not think that this should bar us from drafting no. We should still be drafting a tackle. In my opinion, it should be a tackle. I don't hate Charles Leno, but I think Charles Leno's best position on the Commanders would be a swing tackle. You feel me? Like somebody gets hurt and you got Charles Leno to go at the right or the left, you're in a great spot if Charles Leno is your swing tackle.
I agree with that.
Yeah, my number one, we're going to get into the draft on a later episode, you know what I'm saying? But for now, like, I want Anton Harrison out of Oklahoma. You talking about a guy that's protected big name quarterbacks over his last couple seasons, you know what I'm saying? And he's from the city. His family is Commanders fans. He wants to be a Commander from his way it seems. He's my most underrated tackle prospect. I think he ends up going probably top 10. But if he slides to 16, that's my guy right there.
Yeah, to me, there's still all kinds of question marks on the O line. I know they like Leno at left tackle. I think they're going to leave him there. From what I've heard or read, Cosme, I think they've already spoken to him about going inside to right guard. But there's also some rumblings that they could save some money by letting Chase Roulier go. I think he's on the cap for like $12 million. So the offensive line is still a big question mark to me. But they got to shore up the center spot because, like you said, the center spot was a big question mark, a big problem all year. Held the offensive line back, and if we're gonna roll with Sam Howell, a young QB, you need a veteran center that knows what he's doing, that can call the O line shifts to take that off the plate of the quarterback, especially a young quarterback who's already processing a lot. So I think that there's still a long way to go in that O line. They also signed a couple players for linebacker depth. I don't know if you saw any of that, but what were your thoughts on those guys?
I like the line. I do like the LBs that they brought in. They didn't. It's not like they made a splash. And I know everybody wanted them to get the boy from Cleveland. His name's escaping me for the moment.
Anthony Walker. Something?
Yeah, everybody wanted to bring in A Walk, and don't get me wrong, bro. A Walk is a dog, and when he was playing with the Colts with him and Shaq Leonard, that was a problem that season. But I like Cody Barton a lot, bro. I really do. I think he replaces Cole Holcomb. Cody Barton was top 10 in tackle or top 12 in tackles last season. I believe he snuck into that top 10 though. He had like 136 tackles and didn't even start the first couple games. So this is a guy that I think is like one of those signings where right now it doesn't mean much, but it ends up showing itself as a really big move. It kind of reminds me of like when we got what's my boy's name? Remember when we picked up Wes Schweitzer in free agency? Yeah. And like everybody was like, but he ended up playing a very, very crucial role for our offensive line over the last few years. I was sad to see him go. I think this could be a similar signing, under the radar signing, but a guy that comes in and really does contribute. Hey, if it keeps Bostic and David Mayo off the field, I'm happy. I think a Cody Barton and Jamin Davis combination could be pretty solid.
Yeah, I think Barton will be solid. I don't think he's as good as Cole was, but I think he can be, especially playing behind Duran and John Allen. I think you don't. I personally wanted them to go after like a Bobby Wagner. Like I want to see like a big name middle linebacker. I'm not big on Jamin Davis, you know that, but I think their idea, their plan in here is we got studs on the D line. We just signed Payne to a big deal. So we could probably go, on a prove it deal with somebody to come out here and play linebacker or go with a young dude. So it's not a bad strategy. But I think the boy Cody Barton will be all right.
Hey, and you know what? You make some good points there, man. Like kind of comparing him to Cole Holcomb, and I don't think that Cody Barton. I watched a good amount of tape on him once we picked him up. I don't think Cody Barton is as athletic as Cole Holcomb. I don't think he has as
Yeah.
much like sideline to sideline explosion. But from what I saw on tape, I think he's a lot more instinctive than Cole Holcomb. And I thought that that was one of Cole Holcomb's bigger issues for me. And that could have been because it really could have, it may not have been Cole's issue. It may not have been his fault because they didn't really have a plan for Cole Holcomb, bro. I watched his career closely when he came out of UNC. They wanted him at the weak side backer at first. Then they moved him to strong side backer. You know what I'm saying? When they first got Cole Holcomb, they were still trying to figure out they were a 3-4 or 4-3. You know what I'm saying? And like I don't think they ever had a real plan for him. And Cole Holcomb came in before the season before last. He came into Ron Rivera and those guys and said, "Look, I want to play the mic." He was begging to play the mic, and he finally got his shot to play the mic. And it felt like even when he got his shot to play the mic, they brought in Jamin Davis to play the mic. You know what I'm saying? Like they never really had a plan for Cole, bro. And he just outplayed everyone that was in front of him each and every time, which is why he got that mic role. And I think maybe if they had a better plan for him, we could have seen a better player. And maybe he goes to the Steelers, a team that's known for having plans for young players. And, you know what I'm saying, they develop them a lot quicker. But I do think Cody Barton has a lot more instinctiveness than Cole Holcomb does. Cody Barton is one of those guys that sniffs out plays, bro. Like he sniffs out screens. He sniffs out like misdirection runs. I like those type of instinctive linebackers. And maybe we're sacrificing a little bit with the coverage ability and the sideline to sideline speed. But I think overall, I think Cody Barton will prove to be a better player than Cole Holcomb was for us.
Yeah, I think that instinctiveness is what they need in the linebacker position. Because a lot of teams will double Allen, double Payne, and you got to be able to read that, and you got to be able to make the play because you're the one who's not getting blocked in those situations. So I think Barton, I would give that probably a B. I feel like it's a kind of under the radar move, but I think come season time, everybody will know the name Cody Barton in
Hey,
Commanders Nation.
I'm with you. I actually get that move another A, man. That moves an A. That moves an A for me. I think Cody Barton should have been one of the more sought after linebackers this off season. I'm surprised that he wasn't. I'm surprised the Seahawks didn't make a bigger push to keep him, but it looks like they're zeroing on Bobby Wagner again. So, but Cody Barton, I'm excited to have him. I'm excited to see what he does for us.
Yeah, most definitely, man. So before we wrap it up, man, is there anything you want to get into on the ownership side? We've been big on this podcast in the past on Snyder. We've gotten on him plenty. We've covered all that. This seemed like a pipe dream. We talked about rumors that would never happen. Dan Snyder selling the team was definitely something I never thought I'd be alive for. But here we are. Here we are. The sell is intimate. It could be really in the next few weeks. I'm gonna be honest, I'm kind of tapped out on it. There's a lot of rumors swirling around about different groups, mystery groups. Bezos is hovering over all of it with all his money. So I kind of just took a seat back. And I'm just gonna let this news play out as it comes out. Because when it comes out, it'll come out. But there's a ton of rumors right now. So Bryce, what are your thoughts on this whole ownership thing?
Wrong. I'm kind of getting tapped out with you. I've always said from jump, man, I won't believe it until I see it. I'm not going with the rumors. I'm not playing that game, bro, because I don't trust that Dan Snyder is going to get rid of the team, even when it looks like everything's pointing in that direction, right? My hope is that it is Bezos because money can buy happiness for me. A couple extra free agents, a couple extra, throw a little bit of money into that signing bonus and stretch that out over a few years. Yeah, I need that, man. I need an owner that can put some money in the escrow for some big signings. You feel me? Like I don't need no cash broke owner, bro. I need us to not have the smallest jumbotron in the league. You feel me? Like, yo, get my jumbo. Hey, Bezos, pull up, bro. Get me with the HD jumbotron, bro. You feel me? Get me with the HD 4K jumbotron. Let's stop playing with these folks. I want Bezos, man.
Yeah, yeah. I want anybody who's not Dan Snyder, if I could be honest. I want anybody who doesn't extort money from the other owners. I want anybody who doesn't take cheerleaders to a private island to dance for investors. I want people that don't suffer from short man syndrome or Napoleon complex. I've said it multiple times, Bryce. Dan Snyder is a bad guy to bad people. Like you're not even like with the rest of the villains. You're in your own category. Uh, just get Dan Snyder up out of here.
Rome. It's Bezos or bust for me, bro. It's Bezos or bust, bro. That's how I feel. I don't want Josh Harris coming in who already owns the Sixers. All right. So
Yeah, I
what
don't want
happens
that.
when what happened? He owns the Sixers and what, like the Flyers. So what happens when the Flyers are playing the Caps in the NHL playoff game in DC? The Commanders owner just walking in with Philly stuff on. I don't want that, bro.
Nah,
I
yeah.
want an owner that only is going to own one sports team. Is going to be the Commanders. It's Bezos or bust for me. Bezos, call Hove up. Look like look like that other team went and got Magic Johnson. So Bezos, go get, I don't know, go get Tiger Woods or somebody that'll make, go get somebody, bro. Beef beef up the team. You know what I'm saying? And let's get this done, Bezos. Because for me, like I said, it's Bezos or bust, bro.
My original prediction was that Bezos will everybody will make their bid and then Bezos will just swoop in with was oh y'all said six, here's eight. Like he can just do that. So well I think Bezos will end up getting it. But again I'm happy with anybody who's not Dan Snyder or at least doesn't have a record of being scum of the earth. So
Good point, man. We definitely don't need any more scums in DC. I think we got enough of them with the politicians, man.
facts right there.
Yeah, but
All
hey,
right, man.
man,
So
season 2, episode 1, bro. It feels good to be back on this Commanders beat, man. We at training camp this year. We giving y'all draft content leading up to the April date. It's gonna get lit, man. So stick with us. And you know what? We got to apologize for the absence, right? We apologize for the absence, but there was so much going on in Commanders Nation. We was just sitting back and watching it all. But now we back, man. We ready to take over. If you don't know, you can catch me and Rome on Gas Presents Sports for the Culture each and every Tuesday night on Gas Sports Network. If you don't have the Gas Sports Network app, go ahead into the App Store and download that. Rome, did I miss anything, bro?
no, not at all, man. Definitely check us out live Tuesday nights, YouTube, Twitter, Sports for the Culture. We definitely gonna keep hitting you with these. We apologize for the absence, but now that the organization has some stability, our podcast will get a little bit more stability. We'll be back hitting you with all kinds of Commander stuff. This will be the Commanders podcast that you're gonna want to be locked into.
Nah, facts, bro, facts, yo. So stay locked in with us, and we gonna stay locked in with y'all, man. Hell to the culture.
Hell to the culture.